To finish up the day, Loki, episode 5 breakdown. Yeah, let's see, it stopped right here. This is where I was like, fuck this. No.
Stop. Fuck this shit. I'm out.
Okay. Spoilers possibly ahead. Wait, I had a thing for that, right?
Yeah, you had a Loki intro.
Guys, it's time for Loki.
You know, I think I changed my mind about Miss Minutes, by the way. I think I'm still weirded out by the fact that it's inconsistent how she pops up. But I like that they've painted her the villain because she was always like ominous.
They needed like a solid villain, and they really didn't have one. It was like it was Kang, but he never really.
He
was
wasn't
around.
really a villain.
Yeah,
he was just like a dude.
A dude with an agenda.
Yeah,
yeah, and he was never really like the bad guy. He just like maintained the timelines, but he did kill people by pruning the timeline. The thing is when the timeline got out of control, then they had to kill way more people. So you're like, did they do the right thing or not? Because I think now that what's the female Loki's name? Why can't I think
Sylvie.
Sylvie, yeah. I think Sylvie.
I kept calling her Sophie last night, and Christina
up the
was
whole thing by killing Kang.
Yeah.
So we start off the episode leaving right off from where the last episode stopped, where the timeline's basically exploding, and then you see Loki close his eyes like he's gonna get hit, and then he opens his eyes and everybody's gone except for him.
And he's doing the time warpy, or the time slipping.
Yeah, he starts doing the time slipping again, but he finds out he's in the TVA by himself with like nobody else in there,
which I thought looked really cool.
And there's this interesting part too. You start seeing the timeline.
Remember then the right side of the loom was completely unraveled, but here the right side looks pretty tightly braided to the.
Yeah, so like it's like the timeline is correcting itself in a way, like it's pulling like a basic hard reset. It seems like on the timeline.
Which that's why I don't get like how, because he kept teleporting into different times and it kept doing the noodle thing, and I was like, but this, because it showed this, I was like, okay, things are getting back to normal, but it was the exact opposite. Things were delete, like the different timelines.
It was like
were getting pruned.
Control Alt Delete. Or like you it seemed like it was wiping stuff, and the theory was that everybody was sent back to their timelines, and then like it was kind of like a hard reset, so nobody was at the TVA, and it kind of like has to start, the TVA kind of has to start from scratch again or something like that, maybe, or this point in time is getting wiped out to what we see with him with the time skipping. He's basically going back in time to see these people, right? So he's like, one was 1980 something, and then one was like 2002, and one was like Mobius's was 2022.
Yeah.
And then
there's like the Alcatraz one too,
was 2012. So it was like, the Alcatraz one was like 1980 something, or wasn't it?
No, it was way before that.
It was way before that?
Yeah, Alcatraz shut down in like,
here it is.
There you go.
1994.
No.
Yeah.
62.
It says it right here.
Yeah, that's one time.
Was that? Maybe that was.
What's his name? Obi's. Yeah.
Yeah, Obi's. Oh, 62.
Obi, by the way, Obi, Christina and I agree. Obi is the best character in this season.
How can you not?
He's
love him,
so lovable, and just his like weird, like
when he won the Academy Award too. I was like, Mo and I were both tearing up. We were like so sick for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
But
I still know him as $50 bill.
Everybody loves him. It seems like.
But he's
please
just
don't let someone dig up something from like 10 years ago that fucks him over.
He said the N-word one time. You're like, fuck, Obi. God damn it.
Obi was in blackface. He's Asian though, right? So he can maybe get away with it.
No.
Probably not. Okay, and then so we go through back all these timelines, basically where these main characters were in a different timeline, maybe their main timeline. We find out why Mobius always talked about jet skis, because he actually worked in a shop that sold jet skis. The perfect combination of function and form.
I didn't realize it was in Ohio. That's tragic.
Form and function. Yeah.
That's fucking tragic. Ohio has lakes, but like they don't have ocean. That's fucked up.
Yeah, that's true. To get the full. I don't know. I've rode jet skis on lakes though. It's pretty fun.
Ew, Lake Mead, dude.
The thing is, lakes are calm, so you can really open those fuckers up. Because in the ocean, you can't really do that all the time. If it's choppy, yeah, you'll eat shit.
You'll fucking DJ Khaled and be fucking lost at sea.
You'll go flying.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do that on the lake too, but the lake is usually better because if it's glass, you can open that sucker up. But yeah, we keep hearing the TVA code 1229. He steps back. Loki. Oh yeah, you get a Shining vibe there. But this part was kind of interesting where he like sees himself for a second. And
he does it multiple times. He sees himself from the same point in time. It's like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, it's like repeating itself. There's like a Groundhog Day effect kind of going on here, right? Where he sees himself.
I just think it's cool that it happens from another angle.
Yeah.
Because you see yourself, you see him as that Loki and the other Loki.
Right.
Underneath it, recalling the similar music playing under the Miss Minutes welcome video. Like, why would they announce it at all if the whole point is for people not to be in the TVA? Who is this for? I think it really is just part of the programming, and the TVA just kind of runs on.
Yeah, it's just part of the programming. It's like a basic reset thing, so I think it's just code one.
Weird points.
So the 1229, there's nobody here, but it's like it says safety protocols enacted or something like that, and it says code 1229. And nobody's in the TVA, but it seems like things are getting reset.
So Loki time slips into a chronomonitor bay and sees another version of himself flipping through the TVA handbook, and then time slips again, and we realize he's just back a few minutes because he returns to the bay to find himself now reading the handbook, and the version of himself that he just was is now behind him. So we are seeing a little bootstrap paradox tie itself into a knot here, and I love it. Upon hearing his past self call out hello before disappearing, our Loki still looks around confused and is like, hello? It just kind of shows how sad and lonely this Loki is. He just wants someone to be in the room with him, but it doesn't last long because the whole chronomonitor.
By the way, I think that's
and actually listen closely to the sound.
Spaghettifying shit is crazy.
Yeah, maybe the reason The Shining was in my head is that we hear these weird screams mixed into the sounds that sounds like the unnerving shrieks that we hear over the opening titles of The Shining.
I need to rewatch that movie. It scared the shit out of me as a kid.
But yeah, everything's spaghettifying, and then you see that the thing says fail-safe mode, so it's doing something to reset itself.
Yeah, but see, that's what I don't understand is that it's spaghettifying too. So that seems like it's destroying rather than fixing. But I guess it fixes by destroying.
Right. It says thank you for your service, almost like it's telling the people who would be there
that they're dead,
that you're gonna die. Thanks a lot, appreciate you, bye.
Yeah, I like that it's like a kind of rendered down version of Miss Minutes too. Like you could tell it's earlier in time than, you know what I mean?
Right.
Than the fucking AI version, obviously.
So yeah, we catch the first flashback of Cody, who's like an escapee from Alcatraz, and I guess this is an actual reference to like an actual escapee.
He goes by a different name too, because I remember. So I used to go on that tour, the Alcatraz tour, because and you would carry around these cassette tapes that would tell you some of these stories, but that was I just thought that was cool. But yeah, there's plenty of people that tried to escape, and would like freeze to death in the water and shit like that.
There was like, I guess these guys were like one of the few groups of people that actually got off the island. So basically, Loki starts time skipping. We run into B-15 as a doctor or a nurse, and then we run into Mobius at Piranha Power Sports, selling jet skis, and then we go to Pasadena where he meets up with Obi, who is a scientist, but he's a
writer.
He's a writer. But he's like smart. He's got a PhD.
But he's not passionate about it, so he wants to become a writer. So he's like putting his own books in bookstores.
And then, we see the Post-it board. A lot of this is Obi's notes, I think, for his book. I think he breaks all this Post-its down, but there's one in the middle that has like I forgot what it said. What did the middle one say?
No.
And other details swapped out. So here's what it says. We can see Brothers Duel. It has the upper hand. These Post-it notes. With all 112 visible Post-it notes labeled. A lot of them are repeated on other notes, but I honestly think.
So the main question they're asking, right? Like, what where, why.
Yeah, which is like a story plot that they use in there because they were trying to figure out why he's time slipping or what the solution of the time slipping. And he was like, oh, you got to figure out it's not the who, what, or where.
Yeah.
It's the why. And then at the end of the episode, he's like, actually, it's the who. Which, by the way, this is my hot take. They fucking nerfed Loki so hard, dude.
In what way?
Think about when he first came on the scene. He was a fucking god.
Yeah.
And he has like all these fucking dope powers. He's a master illusionist and shit like this. Come all the way to this point, and he's like, I'm very lonely. I just want my friends. And it's like, no. Like, I get, like, yes, make it like he's changing character and everybody loves him, so they want to like reintroduce him.
Yeah.
But has powers, and they made him this like just clumsy dum-dum. And I don't like that. Same thing with Sylvie, right? Is like she's a badass, and they just kind of made her this apathetic, like, kind of a bitch, where she's like, yeah, they're all gonna die.
She's somewhat apathetic, but she's also like, let go, bro.
Yeah. And they took so long to build up that romance, and then this whole season they like are disconnecting them way harder.
Yeah, I'm curious why they don't play more into like their actual like affection they had for each other.
Because I thought that was like one of the big things about the first season was that like, oh, are you in love with yourself, dude? Like,
yeah, of course.
And because that plays into his narcissism. So I get that he's not as narcissistic anymore. He's caring about other people, but I was just like, dude, you took one of the badass characters and you turned him into a fucking pussy, dude.
And maybe Loki, even though he was kind of like an evil, conniving, like backstabbing motherfucker, he still knew he had people who like loved him and cared about him. Like even Thor, like was like,
so then why isn't he one of the people that he's bringing? Because he's doing all these time heists, like
there's little
Ant-Man.
tiebacks to like Asgard and gods and
they
stuff
only
like that.
talk about him. He's like, oh, my mom. Brief. They don't say much about Asgard. And I'm like, you guys forget that he's a fucking god.
But I don't think he's really had friends, and now he has friends.
But then remember when he sacrifices himself for Thor? Yeah. I thought that was kind of not the end of that arc, but like, okay, you see that he has potential to care. So in Thor Ragnarok, he does it. And at the start of Endgame? Remember when he gets murked?
Yeah.
I thought that was like, okay, he can be good.
Right.
So they didn't need to.
He has a soft side.
They didn't have to break him down this far where he's like, I just need friends.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't hate it. I don't
absolutely hate it.
I think, I can see why you would dislike it, but I find it endearing in a way. Like there has to be something more behind it, right? So basically there's a main scene where him and Sophie are in the bar having a drink, right? And she goes, "Why are
doing
you
shots
really
of bourbon?" By the way, did you gag a little bit?
Do you want a shot?
Yeah, let's do it.
No, I love bourbon, but
I don't shoot bourbon though. That's
it depends on the bourbon.
Psycho. No, you're a psychopath. This is another hot take. If you shoot bourbon, you're a fucking psychopath.
But the main scene of them in the bar is Sophie basically asks Loki, why do you really want to save the TVA, right? Why do you want to save this? And he goes, well, I want to save the TVA. And she's like, why do you want to save the TVA? Like, who gives a fuck about the TVA? Why?
Yeah, and you just found out about it. That's why he's like, I thought her character in that point, like, gave good perspective, but, like, it made the show seem stupid because she's right. Yeah. You just found out about the TVA. Like, why are you like so hardcore on a mission for some shit you just found out about?
Because Sophie's like, I want to just stay in my timeline, and she finds out she can't later. But I just want to stay in my timeline and live my life, bro. And that's what everybody else wants to do. Is they just want to stay. They just want to live their lives.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, but
shouldn't they have that choice?
Basically, he said before she says that, he says, I want my friends back.
Yeah.
And that's comes down to the nitty gritty of what he wants is he just wants his friends back.
My friends.
I want my friends. And then Sophie tells him, hey, also, they got to go live their lives, man. You got to let them go. It's like,
I love.
You love something, set it free.
I don't know if this guy caught it or if you caught it. I love that Obi's space turns into the TVA over time.
Yeah.
Did you notice like his space was evolving as they were figuring stuff out?
And it looks the space he has in the past looks just like the room he's in the TVA.
No, that's what I'm saying.
right?
They build the TVA, and just like, because remember he says that he wrote the book on the TVA, and then he gets the book so that he could write the book on the TVA.
Right.
So
Loki
all of
goes
this
back
is
in time,
happening.
meets the Obi in the 80s, and gives him the TVA book so they can build the time skipper thing.
Oh, dude, I like the big one.
Yeah, but he makes it a giant laptop looking
Yeah.
thing, right? But he builds it, and
I like
Loki
that the door
zips over.
isn't framed
Yeah,
well.
it's not perfect.
Yeah.
But while Loki's talking to Mobius in his timeline, Obi shows up out of nowhere, and he's like,
I did it.
"Dude, you did it so fast." Loki's like, "You did it so fast," and he's like, "I wouldn't call 19 months fast. Plus, I divorced my wife, and I fucking lost all my money." But so there is a time skipping happening, even though Loki's thinking, "Oh yeah, that only took like a fucking day."
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it took me 19 months. So there's time skipping going on behind the time skip.
I thought it was super cool though when he handed him the book. He's like, "I did become a writer."
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool. Shooting.
But then there's the question of whether Obi created the TVA and then Kang maybe just controlled it.
I don't know. I'm like, with all that timeline shit, I still don't get it.
It's very all over the place. It's hard to keep up with in some spots for sure.
Oh.
But yeah, this is a look at like Obi's space, basically his little hangar that he has. But
and
it looks
that
just like
area
the
is where
TVA
he
room.
puts the fucking
the shoop.
Yeah.
Shoop. Not that he does it here, but it looks very similar. And then
also, dude, this is so dorky, and this is only because I'm old.
Yeah,
I love the shelves built into the structure. I was like,
honestly,
why
if I had
can't
a
I have
room-
that?
If
Why
I had
can't I
a
have
room
that?
that looked like that, I'd be all about it. If
Dude,
I had like a hanger with just shit
imagine-
like this, I'd be like, fucking.
Dude, I was always like, when
so
I was
cool.
maybe right after high school, early college, I was like, all I want is a loft. I want a loft. I want a
Still want a
studio
loft.
loft. It's the fucking coolest. And dude, can you imagine having that space? Oh, dude. Oh, all your nerd shit can go high instead of like, you see my place, bro, it goes wide.
Yeah.
Because our fucking ceilings are like 7 foot, so there's not a lot of clearance.
Just having like a fucking 20-foot high ceiling,
Bro,
you know?
can you imagine just a fucking life-size Darth Vader just like at the top?
It looks so cool. Like when you see those New York shows, like I forget which
Friends,
shows it was.
even Friends,
But
fucking.
not even like what was it, New Girl or something like that? I don't know.
Oh,
Someone
yeah,
had like
that-
the big
that
like
was in LA.
loft, like
Yeah.
like fucking. You're like
With
those
the
are so
fucking,
cool.
like those big, like pulling doors.
Yeah.
Like, fucking want that.
There's a little indie reference here where they show his hat from the indie movies on the thing right here. So if
Oh, I
you didn't
didn't
catch
notice
that, there's a little Easter egg there where his Indiana Jones hat is chilling.
$50 bill.
$50 bill. But yeah,
Dr.
there's a better
Jones.
view of the room there. So it looks pretty dope. It
Obi looks so
futuristic,
cool as an
though,
old
too.
guy now
Yeah.
too. Like he glowed up, dude.
Shorts. What was
Oh
his name?
shit! Look
Short
at the fucking fans. Don't they look like Imperial symbols?
They do. There's a lot of symbolism in this show, I think, too. Like,
Remember Boondock Saints?
yeah.
There's a lot of symbology here. Oh, symbology, eh?
So this is where he.
Has shitty ass kids.
Yeah. So
His kids are the worst, dude.
this is when Obi comes through the door. He finally makes this, and then this is the conversation they have, right?
Oh no! This speaks to what it takes to be a Kang-level inventor. You have to sacrifice all your personal... The TVA. Now I'm wondering if this phrase right now was first put into Mobius's head from this conversation. And surprisingly fast, Obi
form and
appears
function.
through a glitchy time door with a large prototype tempad. Actually, you can see that he wrote on this device, temporal access device. He says that it took him 18 months. Well, actually 19 months.
I had to take a break and move out when I lost my job and my wife left me.
Oh no! This speaks to what it takes to be a Kang-level inventor. You have to sacrifice all your personal relationships. Loki tells Don to come with him.
Your boys won't even know you're gone.
Yeah, but I will.
All of existence is in grave danger.
I don't care.
Loki's pretty much learning the lesson he needs to learn this episode.
He's like, I don't want to go. Like, I don't need to go. And basically, he recruits all the main characters from the story, right? Because he goes back and sees Sophie. This part was interesting
have a
too.
temporal aura.
Yeah, did you catch this when it happened?
When the burger disappeared.
Yeah.
Boxed in, Sylvie's
Stupid.
takeout bag spaghettifies as the camera passes it, and you can see in the side view mirror of her truck that the process completes, and it is right in front of her face, but it doesn't really phase Sylvie. I think she knows little bits and pieces of her reality are fading like this, but she's okay with it because she's got the amulet, she's got the master Tempad, and I think she thinks she can continue staying a step ahead of this apocalyptic event. That's what she's been doing her entire life.
I don't get what the
this
amulet
could also explain
is
why
all about,
Sylvie,
because they keep
unlike
showing
the others,
it too.
remembers Loki. I think
what?
The amulet.
Yeah.
All that cracked amulet that has that Japanese art form.
Right.
I don't know what that's for. What it says.
Kintsugi?
Yeah. But I don't know what the amulet's for.
I think it protects. It allows her to time skip, or it allows
No,
her.
but that's
to,
what the fucking.
she doesn't need the temp pad. She doesn't have the temp pad. She has a watch and she has an amulet. So she like looks at her watch and she does something, and then she can open
Oh, I
a
thought
time
that.
door.
Yeah, but that basically essentially a temp pad on her watch, then, right?
Yeah, I guess so. But I think the amulet has something to do with it, maybe.
her use of that device and her connection to Loki have made them sort of immune from the effects that affect the others. At this bar, there is a Zaniac arcade game.
So cool.
Yeah, and that's a reference to
the movie
and a movie.
Yeah, it's the movie that the other hunter's in.
But there's a comic book too, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah, this is actually the voice of Brad of
Yeah.
Rafael Casal. Remember, his status as a big-time actor from the Zaniac film series in the 70s was on the sacred timeline. And if you stick around in this episode all the way to the end of the credits, you can hear his voice again.
You died! Insert your coin, loser!
Which kind of feels like a meta nod to us. Like, we're dead after watching this episode. He's calling us losers. Loki and Sylvie debate whether restoring the TVA is ethical.
You would be ripping people from their lives, showing them something that they cannot unsee. What kind of choice is that?
And finally, Sylvie gets what Loki really wants out of this.
I want to save everything, all of it.
Is it really that hard? Come on, keep trying.
I want to save the TVA.
Why?
I want the TVA back.
And?
What do you want?
I want my friends back.
Yeah, it takes the bartender whose name is Eric, and I wonder if he was named after head writer Eric Martin, because it would take the head storyteller here to break through to Loki to ask him what he wants finally for Loki to give an honest answer. That answer is he doesn't want to be alone. Loki asks that without his friends, where does he belong? And Sylvie responds,
We're all writing our own stories now.
it's the deeper theme of this episode, the power of story, controlling one's own narrative. Loki begins this episode poo-pooing the idea of being a writer, but to truly run the TVA, you have to be a playwright. You have to learn the elements of story and transition from the god of mischief into the god of stories. And the god of stories is what Loki becomes when he returns to Verity Willis in the Agent of Asgard run. Behind the scenes photos in the season 1 writer's room showed that Michael Waldron used Dan Harmon's story circle to structure each episode. And that follows the Joseph Campbell monomyth cycle with 8 story beats.
Love Joseph Campbell, by the way.
Yeah.
He's dude, even my grandma studied Joseph Campbell. He has the it's called the Hero's Journey. It's like a plot writing device, and there's like 12 steps that creates a good story. And it even parallels the Bible, which is crazy. Like every good story follows these plot points, and you don't even realize they're happening.
Yeah.
Like the first one's like call to action, where like the hero finds what they're supposed to do, and then there's like 12 stories that like in the end, if you follow this rubric, like it's a great story.
It's like a sure tell.
Yeah.
Like at least you'll be able to tell the story properly.
Yeah,
kind of
Joseph Campbell is kind of like Sigmund Freud, but as a writer, he's like very cool.
That's cool. I don't want to
by
check
the way,
that out.
I fucking love this place.
Yeah.
I want it to exist.
Yeah,
I
it's
told
so
Christina, I want that couch.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, but your skin would stick to it. And I was like, I don't care. I'll put a blanket. Dude. When she just plugs in and kicks back.
Yeah. This is
Heaven.
a great scene though.
It reminded me of High Fidelity.
So this is after this is after the conversation with Loki. She goes to the record store.
Her like her happy place.
Yeah, her happy place to like get away from stuff, right? And then this starts happening.
Awesome. Like the song talking about having nothing at all, that is all that is left after this all spaghettifies. But Sylvie is not that worried. She just kind of swipes the Tempad amulet and this orange time door opens, and notice how the strands are repelled from that door. So this technology, which the closing credits always end on, really seems to be the master technology that is going to to be the key to everything in the finale. It is the amulet. Maybe it's even from ancient Egypt, and that's why she has those Ankh earrings. I think that Sylvie...
I didn't even notice the Ankh earrings.
Fuck, dude.
See, that's
they
the
have
stuff
a
they
whole
point out.
team with this shit, huh?
She was wrong, and that spooks her into rejoining Loki. But it's too late. Like the ending of Avengers Infinity War, they all fade one by one with tragic final lines.
But I still didn't take it.
It was a fiction problem.
No, I have to go back to see my boys.
This part made me sad.
Yeah, it was hard.
Even though I knew that they weren't going to kill him,
Yeah.
I was like...
There's nowhere left to go.
And even Sophie gets wiped. So you're like, holy shit, okay, where does this go from here, right? Because she was the one you were like,
Yeah.
she's just going to go. But she
She
even
could just
says, like,
teleport in and out.
where else do I fucking go? Like, I have no other timeline I could travel to where I can escape this, basically, right? So she's just like, I'm out of here.
Final
I'm
words echo in Loki's head as he desperately tries to grab the strands to cling to the pieces of his friends. But then he hears some lines from even earlier from season 1, like this.
You know where I go if I could go anywhere.
This is what Mobius said right before he got pruned in season 1, episode 4.
You know where I go if I could go anywhere.
And then Loki here also hears this.
Do you think that what makes a Loki is the fact that we're destined to lose?
Sylvie said this to Loki on Lamentis in that same episode.
Do you think that what makes a Loki is the fact that we're destined to lose?
And to this line, Loki screams, his mouth going Kirby wide, and then he figures it out.
I did it. I controlled it.
And Loki explains to OB.
It's not about where, when, or why. It's about who.
He spins in the room to look at his friends, and he realizes he knows how to rewrite the story. And smooth as silk, he's back on the loom observation deck with OB the moment they watched Victor Timely head down to his death. So what happened here? Like Desmond in Lost Season 4 in the Constant episode, the one thing that grounds
Always
someone
reference
who's
Lost.
lost in time is their loved one, their constant. For Desmond, it was Penny. For Cooper in Interstellar, it was his daughter Murph. And for Loki, it's Sylvie and his friends. Why doesn't this include Victor Timely this episode? Well, I think Loki feels a unique kinship with variants who were violently extracted from their histories and forced to work for the TVA as variants. A kind of chaotic confusion you only feel with fellow grunts in the workplace. So Loki, let's go with the science. Science that, as Guardians like Thor told Jane Foster, is just another word for magic. And science and magic are two things that cannot be controlled. And Loki instead embraces something that can be controlled. Fiction, as the god of stories. And every great story begins with the question, who am I? Now throughout the...
Yeah, see, that's the part that I also didn't like that, where he just like, oh, I know how to do it now.
Yeah,
And you're like,
yeah.
wait, what?
It kind of just
What?
like
And
becomes his
it didn't
power.
show any of his green power. It didn't show like anything was like his power doing it. It just showed like, and then like, oh, you're back. I don't know.
It always takes like some kind of traumatic event though, right? For like, it seems like throughout a lot of things, there has to be like a traumatic, like climactic point
Yeah.
where you go, you just like do something that out of the ordinary and it works.
By the way, just side note, how many people on this island do you think will be OB for Halloween next year?
Oh man.
So many people can pull that off, dude. Usually
Yeah.
glasses and a coat.
Yeah, why not?
Hey, come over. You're good.
I'm all about it though.
Fucking love Obi.
So guys, that's your lead up into the final episode of the season, which premieres tonight. It might be out already.
Yeah, who knows?